Okay, thanks for coming. A couple quick comments. Very obviously pleased. I don't think relieved is the right word, but pleased to get out of State College with a win that was. I said it was a top 5 atmosphere. I got in the top 3 now after that one. That was incredible. That's a credit to their student body and their fans. They did a great job. J.T. Barrett took the field. We're down by 7 points after blowing the lead. And to see him lead an offense as a redshirt freshman into the student section, down by 7 in the first overtime I just remember, I'll probably never forget that look when I saw our offense taking the field against the whiteout of the student section, down by 7 against the defense. It really kind of shut us down the second half. #1 rush defense in the country, and take us in for a score. So obviously we're going to build upon that. A lot of things we got to get better. The offensive line did not play up to Ohio State standards, and that's where it starts. That certainly wasn't the only issue on offense. JT actually had just an okay game as far as some of the reads and some of the decisions he had to make. And anytime a team has a bye week, and it seems to be this is the year, we've had a couple of those years where you get 2 or 3 games right in a row where teams are having bye weeks before they play you. We just got to we got to do a good job as a staff getting ready for the unexpected, and that's been kind of the theme the last several weeks when you get a team off a bye week. Defensively, other than the final drive, very pleased with their effort. We are getting better on defense, playing a little bit of swagger and a little more confidence. I can tell the way our coaches are coaching, and more importantly, our players are going after the way they're just the behavior and the way they go after the game. So very good. Special teams was a major factor in that field position. Our punter is really good at what he does. Kickoff coverage was, I think we just had 2. One came out a little bit. We overran it, but the effort was there. Kick return, we're getting very close. Dontre's hitting it hard. And punt return really didn't have any opportunities. There were a lot of short punts. So great win for the Buckeyes, and looking forward to coming back home and continuing our journey.
You mentioned about JT's reads not all being correct. On the one zone blitz, the pick 6, what's the correct read there?
That's tough. That's when the correct blitz is throw hot, and he threw hot, and they schemed us up pretty good. So that was not one that was a schematical thing that if a veteran quarterback would just probably burn it, which means throw it into the ground. But that is the correct read, is to throw a hot. It's called a hot. You hear that a lot. When they bring more than you can block, which they did, you have a hot sight adjustment hot, and you throw it to them, which we've done a few times this year. They did a nice job. The thing that defense had to figure out which side that is, and that's they did a nice job. But in those situations, veteran quarterbacks are like, just burn it. 2nd and 10s, no issue, or punt the ball.
Are you pleased with the pace of the offense? I think you guys are averaging about 76 plays a game.
Saturday it was not. Up to this point, it's getting better and better and better. And once again, when you're 3 and out and pace is, that's not. We kind of slowed it down a little bit. That was kind of one of those games where, we were playing very good defense, playing pretty good field position. That's not a little bit like Wisconsin a couple years ago. And we threw the pick 6, and I saw a rattled quarterback, so we kind of got conservative there for a little bit. And as a result, didn't get as many yards or first downs that we normally get.
I know you're not going to overlook Illinois, but in 2 weeks you got Michigan State, which will be a very similar atmosphere to what you faced Saturday. Do you think that what you guys experienced on Saturday was actually a good thing? Obviously,
it's not a good thing; it's a great thing. A couple of my colleagues who I talk to on a weekly basis, they made those comments, and that's true. And it's not just the atmosphere; it's you had to nut up, man. You're down. You're down by 7 points in that environment, and there's no. Don't look for anyone else for help. There's 11 guys out there have to score a touchdown, and they did. And there's incredible efforts, on Dontre Wilson on one play going in and blocking a guy. Big. I just saw some incredible efforts. And the thing I like to see as well as anything, when we score, you can see the most invested players. Just on Joey Bosa's sack, to see Darren Lee and everybody, just there's not much energy left, but invested players, invested teams really celebrate wins, and our guys did. So. To answer your question, there's no question. Not just environment, but the toughness element that you just were in a street fight and you were winning. You started getting your tail kicked and you came back and won. That builds toughness.
Part of you that you coasted really for a month and you went out to everybody. It was almost hoping for something like that.
No. On Monday afterwards, on Monday afterwards, I'm good, but we didn't play very good. There's some positions and some players that didn't play very good that we have to get fixed. And to overlook Illinois just won a big game. Illinois is much improved from a year ago. So there will be no overlooking anyone.
Is JT Barrett going to be limited in practice this week?
He's got a sprained knee, MCL, so it's obviously there's no surgery or anything, and I think he will be limited. We're going to go. We had adjusted our practice schedule. We got in at 4:30, and I was going to have a 6:30 team meeting to get going, but we decided to give him Sunday off, and so we're going to practice today, and that's we usually practice on Sunday.
Is this the time of year? I imagine you're backing off on your starters a little bit in practice, especially after an OT game. How hard does that make that to improve week to week?
Well, it's the area that takes. That's a great question. The area that takes a hit is your fundamentals, because you just can't be out there for that long. So the 2-hour practices become hour 45-minute practices, and so that's a hit. And so we're going to actually keep the young players out that didn't play much today an extra 35 minutes to work on the fundamentals. But there's some guys played 80 plays, 70 plays in those games, and to go take them out today, it's going to be a 9-period, 10-period practice, and they're off. But Tuesday and Wednesday you have to do what you got to do. But the fundamentals are the thing that starts to take you at this time of year. That's why when you hear people talk about bowl practices being so important, which we missed a couple years ago, but it's just to get back to that, because some of these kids are not going to get fundamentals to spring practice if you don't go to a bowl game.
Going into halftime, you told the sideline reporter you guys thought you were being too conservative. You needed to open it up. In the second half, you guys were pretty conservative. You touched on this a little bit. JT was a little rattled after the first interception. Was it also the offensive line? And just as you reflect on it, do you think you guys were too conservative?
No, I think we did what we had to do to win the game. It was ugly. It was nasty. It was. I didn't like it. No one, I'm sure, anyone Ohio State fan. If I'm sure I could. If we do our phone call, let people call in and rip us to death. It'd be interesting. We're not going to do that. But we won the game in a tough environment, and our freshman quarterback threw a pick six 3 times. Offensive line gave up quick sacks against a very good defense line, but no excuse. We just got to get better. And yeah, it was a little. When you're playing good defense, at one point you take away the final drive. I want to say we held them to under 200 yards offense, and you're playing very good defense. You're getting pressure on a quarterback. It's called game management. And sometimes I'll watch TV. Sometimes and I'll be, what are they doing? They win the game. And sometimes fans don't want to. They want to throw it. Do this. Where's the reverses? Where's this? And you look at the score. You're up 17-0, and you got to do what you got to do to win that game. And that's what happened during the course of that game.
Hey, Urban, I know there's a lot of interest in the first college football playoff rankings coming out tomorrow. I know it's probably not on your mind right now, but have you taken a chance to familiarize yourself with the criteria? And with the committee more than computers, do you feel like there's maybe more of an emphasis on so-called style points heading into games like Saturday?
The BCS was no different, in my opinion. There was, I think, style points are real. Does that affect the way we go about our business? Not at all. So I have no idea what the criteria is, but I imagine everything I hear it's very similar to the BCS. The BCS and the playoffs to me were the same. Instead of the top 2, you got to get in the top 4.
Bigger picture question, but a ton of one-loss teams out there. Obviously, 5 major conferences battling for those 4 spots. Do you think the Big Ten should and will be in the conversation at the end of the year?
I think so. I don't have any idea what the. I think Michigan State's playing great football right now. They're the top team in the Big Ten right now, and they're playing great, not good. So I don't know.
Urban, if you have players who are 18 to 20 years old whose focus can wander from time to time, does Illinois' win against Minnesota help you a lot this week?
In the videotape, I say this quite often. The videotape is because they've already got today. They came in for an hour and a half, and we put the Penn State game away, and they're going to come in again today, and they're going to get another 30, 45 minutes of videotape on the opponent, and that usually wakens you up. If they were lousy, then you'd have a problem. The good thing is for our conference, and them. Illinois won. Illinois is not as much better. I know they lost their quarterback, but they're playing much better. I just spent all morning watching their defense, and they're much better than a year ago on defense.
Any other health issues on the JT?
Help me with that. I don't think so. Is there someone got dinged in the game? Burrow should be back. Frazier should be back this week. He had a sprained ankle. Devin Boger is going to have surgery, ACL. Briante is close, and Ron Tanner is close, so that's going to be a game-time decision on those guys.
Yeah, a couple things. Number one, you were a wily defensive back in your day. What is the difference between being on top of a guy, covering a guy, and then making the play? You know, Eli had a couple of challenges the other night.
So did Von Bell.
Yeah, so did Von Bell.
I actually talked to our Chris Ash about that today, and that's giving the guys, like Tyvis Powell was that guy, and he stepped in front of one and made a great interception. It's a lot of it, some guys are really just naturally playing the ball. A lot of times those are the offensive players. Joe Hayden was an offensive player his entire career, and he was very natural at going after balls and stuff like that. So Von Bell, usually much better than he was on that one play down on the far end zone. But as often as you can put him in practice, I'll even go down to the scout team and I'll tell him to throw picks. I'll tell the Stephen Collier, let this go, because I want to see those guys make interceptions.
The reason I'm asking, because obviously Armani had a ball right there, would have been in the game. I mean, I just want to say, what do you tell those guys from a confidence standpoint or whatever about, you still believe in them? I mean, what do you tell those guys this week?
Well, we have a method of coaching here that if the only time we'll jump a kid and jump him really hard is the effort. Other than that, it's all coaching and opportunities that you give them in practice, and that's why I love our staff, and they do a good job of that. You don't rip a kid for, that kid was great effort, great coverage. Now we have to give them that. It's called competitive excellence. How many times do we give you that opportunity in practice?
I was just following that previous one. On this one, college football playoff, this is a committee, though. There's going to be discussions, between. Do you think that will make it a more inclusive kind of group at the end of the process? For meeting teams from around the country. I mean, what do you kind of expect from the fact they're going to have discussions?
I couldn't tell you. I think Barry Alvarez is on the committee, and other than that, I'm not quite sure who is. And that's just because I'm good friends with Coach Alvarez, and he's a great guy. That's all I know. I have spent zero time on that. We got to try to find a way to win our 6th or 7th game.
All right, Austin.
You said JT will be somewhat limited this week in practice. When you have a situation like that, do you already kind of know how many reps he'll get throughout the week? Do you have to play it by ear? How do you manage a situation like that with the quarterback?
I think each player is different. He's a guy that's not going to say he's one of the toughest cats I've ever been around. I think what he did to that game, I'm just so impressed by that. And to say I knew that, I didn't know that. I had what he did. Now, how many guys could have done that? Had a very serious injury. MCL injury is a serious injury, and to go in and he won. He got hit on the 3-yard line. I didn't realize that until one of my friends who watched it on TV says, "Unbelievable." I said, "What happened?" Because on video it's hard to see. I guess the television copy they showed it, and he got on the 3-yard line and he bowls his way against Penn State's defense and win the game. And that's so we're gonna to answer your question. I don't know. We're going to see how he goes. He's going to probably be a guy that you won't tell that he's limited. We're just going to make sure he's limited. It's not on throwing, it's on running.
And far left, Matt.
This is an obvious question, but how good is Joey Bosa playing right now? What do you see in him that has kind of elevated him even more?
I always go back to, and I say this all the time about Joey, is I don't see him changing, and if I do, it's going to be a bad conversation, because what's got him to this point is, it's also a credit to his dad. He played the game in his high school program, St. Thomas. He's a practice player. He goes out and practices and does a good job, and it's effort. And that's why you continue to see a guy like that improve. And he is getting better. He's better than he was at the beginning of the season right now. He's not making early in the season, made some mistakes. We didn't probably announce it, but he had some mistakes in the run game when he's supposed to come under, and he did do that. He's playing much better right now.
Winning play, what was your reaction when you...
Well, I didn't really see it until after I came in the next day and watched it. It was a tailback that was trying to block that big monster, and that was he was actually supposed to loop out. He's contained on that. Because because we had a little bear pressure against them, and the guard blocked down, tackle blocked out, and he took a step, and it's him in the back, and he just took him right into him. So obviously tremendous physical specimen what he's able to do. He's a fast twitch guy that's real big and strong, so great player.
Urban, you talked about how the defense played well, but except for that, the last drive to tie the game. What do you think happened? They marched 19 plays, 77 yards to tie it up.
Yeah, penalties along the way, and we had played too soft. We gave up a couple underneaths, and give Penn State credit. The guy made a couple tremendous throws. That was a tough one to. I think is that the one where Von Bell, the guy caught it on the 2-yard line too. That was what? That was what you told me. We're just, in my opinion, played a little too soft and a little bend but don't break. And the guy Hackenberg's a hell of a player, made a couple of throws that were outstanding.
And you talked about sort of after the game, just the operation of the offense in the second half. I was happy with the things you said today. You guys have put up so many points and so many yards. I know not against a defense like Penn State, but in the previous 4 games. Did you think you were rolling even against a defense that good? Did you think this offense was going to be able to do whatever it wanted to do?
Not whatever it wanted to do. Not against a run defense like that. You start becoming balanced a little bit. And I knew they had a bye week. And the bye week stuff sets up red flags in that offensive staff room because you can spend all your time working on this and you're going to get something. And Penn State did a very good job. That's why we're checking our own tendencies more than we ever have right now because there's some, they're making some good defensive calls against us right now, and that's we're facing right now. The Big Ten's got some really good. Someone gave me a list of there's some teams, including ours, in the top 10 or top 15 in the defense. And Penn State, there's no question that's a top 5 defense right now.
You guys put in Cardinal just for one play, a short yardage thing. Was that like a wrinkle, or was that because JT had the knee, or what was?
Well, that was the head coach's thing that didn't work. He's a big guy that runs well, and I knew JT had his thing, and they were doing a good job defending our short yardage, and we had some success early on with that play. And I thought a 250-pound quarterback could drop his pads instead he jumped. And so we're going to keep his feet on the ground and get his pads down. That's why.
You got quite a few disciples out there now, if you will. You talk about Charlie Strong, Mullen, etc. Tim Beckman was one. Is he, because he's struggled a bit, 4th year is 10 and 22. Over the years, has he consulted with you? Have you talked with him? And maybe now that he's in the league, you can't do that, but advice to him?
It's not advice. He's a colleague and a good friend, so it's more conversations about our families. And his father's actually, I'm very close with his father. He's an old football coach. He's a real coach back when I call him. And so, not advice. We don't talk football because we're in the same league, but a lot of respect for Tim. I think you watch his team, they're getting better. Now it's just a matter, how much better can they get? Because I think their players are well coached. I'm just speaking about their defense. Even Tom Herman said this is one of the better coached defenses we're going to face. So more friendship conversation than anything else.